Expo 67 was an international exhibition celebrating Canada's 100th birthday and was built in Montreal. In the summer of 1967, I was a boy of 12 going on 13, and we lived in Laval just north of Montreal. On our first visit, my dad bought us all day passes. After spending a full day at Expo, he bought my sister and I weekly passes, as it was obvious that one day was certainly not enough to see the whole site. Parking was off-site in a huge parking lot, probably 1 kilometer long and half a kilometer wide. Buses would take people from the huge parking lot to Cité du Havre, which was a peninsula that had a few pavilions, but was also the terminus for the Expo Express train. This train made stops at St. Helens Island, Notre Island, and had its other terminus in Ronde, which was the amusement section of the site. When we arrived at the parking lot on the first day, we noticed lamp poles with different animals, which we thought was cute. Little did we realize that those animals with numbers indicated which section you parked at. The shuttle buses stopped at each animal before proceeding to Cité du Havre. When we returned at the end of our first day, we realized that we simply had no idea which animal section we parked at. After splitting up, we did eventually find our car and now knew the importance of those animals. After using up my weekly pass, my dad bought me a season's pass, which was set up like a passport, and you could get stamps from every pavilion. So with my season's pass and the now finished Metro stopping at St. Helens Island, I traveled almost every day in the summer from Laval to Expo and ended up visiting Expo 47 times. Most of the pictures used in this video were taken from pictures online, for which I am very grateful, as my own collection of pictures was very limited. These pictures brought back many happy memories. Expo itself was 900 acres or 365 hectares in size on 4 different sections. Almost 55 million people visited Expo from April to October, with a record daily attendance of 569,500 people. Overall, it had 90 different pavilions. Construction of Expo began on August 13, 1963. The same time they were building Expo, Montreal was also building its metro or subway system. All the rock excavated from the tunnels was trucked to make St. Helens Island bigger, and also created the brand new island of Notre. More rock was needed from quarries, and yet it still was not enough, so canals and ponds were interspersed on the islands, which gave a beautiful parkland appearance to the site. To get around Expo, there were different ways to do that. The Expo Express was the main transportation. It had 5 stations, beginning at the Welcome Center on Cité du Havre, then at Habitat, and went on to St. Helens Island, then on to Notre, and finishing back on St. Helens Island at La Ronde. This train ran frequently, so waiting time was very small. The next best way to get around were the 2 monorails. The blue one was the biggest one and was an excellent way to see both islands. The smaller yellow line did not go as far, but was still a good way to get around. There was also a rubber-tired train called La Balade. If you got tired of walking, you could just jump onto the next passing La Balade. With the network of canals, you had the choice of glass-covered tour boats or more romantic gondolas. Both of these were restricted to Notre Island. Another unique water-based method of travel was the hovercraft. Though noisy, it was fun to go on. Finally, if you wanted a great overview of Expo, you could jump on a helicopter for a 10-minute ride. Except for the gondolas, I did get to use all the other methods of transportation around Expo. I did forget to mention the pedalos, which were tricycles with the guy in the back pedaling 2 passengers seated side by side in the front. As we look at each section Expo, we're going to start with the Cité du Havre. Cité du Havre is a small peninsula and was your point of entry if you came by car. The shuttle bus from the parking lot let you off at Place d'Accueil, or Welcome Center. This was also where the Expo Express station was. The CBC headquarters were there, along with the administrative complex for Expo. On this peninsula was the radical new housing style called Habitat. There were a few model homes open for viewing. Also on the peninsula was Man and the Community Building and the Health Pavilion, where you could actually watch operations on big screens. Many people felt queasy in this pavilion. The Labyrinth, the Expo Theater, Man the Creator Pavilion, which was a photo exhibit, and Jeunesse Musicale were also found on Cité du Havre. St. Helens Island was the home to these pavilions as numbered on the map. Number 1, the Netherlands. 2, Belgium. 3, Switzerland. 4, Austria. 5, Man the Explorer. 6, Scandinavia. 7, Scouts. 8, US. 9, New York State. 10, Maine. 11, Air Canada. 12, Polymore. 13, Telephone. 14, Iran. 15, China. 16, Brewers. 17, Vermont. And finishing with 18, Japan. Some of the more memorable pavilions on this section were the Bell Telephone Pavilion, which had a 360-degree movie screen which showed Canada. Filming was done on trains, planes, and vehicles. You could see the front of the train in front of you, the scenery beside you, and the back of the train if you turned around to the back. It was truly a unique experience. Next to my favorites was Man the Explorer, where you walked on a glass floor which was built over an aquarium. At first, many people were leery of walking on the glass floor. The US Pavilion was also on this island, and you could see many of their spacecrafts on display. The blue monorail actually went right through the pavilion. Sadly though, in 1976 all the plastic covering burned up, leaving just the metal framework. Behind the public pools there was a large area with bleacher seats where at different times different countries had folk dancing exhibitions. Lineups for the pavilions were common, and they had the time to wait painted on the walkway. Some of the more popular pavilions had lineups that were over 6 hours long. The advantage of living locally was that you could get to the gates when they opened and then ran to the pavilion you wanted to target that day, so you would be one of the first in line. Looking at Notre Island, there were 49 different pavilions on this island. And of course, that means it had the most pavilions, and they were, according to the map, number 19, Israel, 20, Greece, 21, Christian, 22, UN, 23, Indians of Canada, 24, Atlantic provinces, 25, Canada, 26, Ontario, 27, Quebec, 28 Western Provinces, 29 Jamaica, 30 Monaco, 31 Haiti, 32 Yugoslavia, 33 Mauritius, 34 OECD, 35 Trinidad and Tobago, 36 France, 37 Great Britain, 38 West Germany, 39 Australia, 39A is Guyana and Barbados, 40 is India, 41 Mexico, 42 Ceylon, 43 European Community, 44 Man the Producer, 45 Canadian National, 46 Kodak, 47 Cuba, 48 Economic Progress, 49 Chatelaine House, 50 Africa Place, 51 Italy, 52 Czechoslovakia, 53 Venezuela, 54 Ethiopia, 55 Morocco, 56 Tunisia, 57 Arab countries, 58 Thailand, 59 Burma, 60 Sermons from Science, 61 Kaleidoscope, 62 Judaism, 63 Canadian Pacific, 64 Pulp and Paper, 65 Steel, 66 USSR, 67 Man the Provider. Of these 49 pavilions, only a few are still in my memory. The Canada Pavilion with its inverted pyramid shape was great to go to the top and view pretty well all the Expo pavilions. In the Western Provinces, we had pictures of large trees, and at the center of the pavilion, there were live trees open to the weather. Though I did go to every pavilion at least once, some I went to just to get the stamp for my Expo passport. As a 12-year-old kid, the OECD, which stands for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, did not really interest me. Other pavilions that have left a mark on me were the Sermons from Science Pavilion, which had short films on nature. One that sticks in my mind the most was one showing how bees communicate with each other and doing a special dance to show the other bees of the colony where food was located. The film has always stuck with me. The Canadian Pacific Pavilion had a multi-screen theatre which showed many parts of Canada at the same time. I also remember the live bands like the one at Trinidad and Tobago playing on their steel drums, or the mariachi band in front of the Mexico Pavilion. Each pavilion also had its own restaurant, providing meals for that country. One of the other interesting things about Notre Island was the fact that it bordered the St. Lawrence Seaway, so you could often see large ships passing through the canal. La Ronde was located at the other end of St. Helens Island. It was the amusement section of Expo. It had some fun and unique rides for offer. The Gyrotron took people in moving seats from ground level into the triangular-shaped building where you felt like you were on a space journey. After that, the moving chairs took you out of the building fairly high up, and then you entered a second building which simulated you going to the center of the earth. La Spirale was another unique ride. It was a 312-foot high tower. Up the tower rode a 2-story elevator that turned as it went up and then came spiraling back down gently. As seen on the map, there was a small lake. A cable car crossed the lake, giving great views of La Ronde and the Montreal skyline. It was also at La Ronde where I first saw and experienced the flume ride, or as they call it, La Pétoune, which was a plastic log-shaped boat that held 4 people. For the most part, it ran in a channel of water, but a conveyor belt took the boat up to different heights, and then you had a steep drop back down. Of course, all the other standard rides and booths were also found at La Ronde. Other memories of Expo include that the lights were fascinating because they had a beam of light shone upward to a reflector. Along the canals you have the lights in rows lighting the canal. After Expo 67 closed in October 1967, it reopened as Man and His World for a number of years, with some pavilions repurposed. The US Pavilion became the Biosphere until the fire of 1976. The French Pavilion has become a casino now. There was a Formula One racetrack constructed after Man and His World finally closed. All in all, I feel very privileged that I had the wonderful opportunity to explore the world without leaving Montreal as a young boy.